as well as the Muslims, which is sad. God has given us intelligence. God has given us a brain. The Quran asks the human beings to think, to reflect, to understand, to question for the sake of knowing the truth. Obviously not questioning for the sake of questioning or arguing. So this is where my journey begins with Islam again. I had thought my relationship with Islam had been broken for good. But God had something else in store for me. It is amazing how things lead to other things. I remember when I was a student, one day one of the older gentlemen in our community, in the Muslim community, came into our house. He was volunteering as a Muslim chaplain at one of the local prisons, and he needed some help to cover for him during hours when he was not available. So he asked us, any of you would be interested in covering for me while I'm not around? And none of my roommates wanted to be involved in prison work. On the other hand, I thought it was a great challenge. It would be exciting. It would be adventurous. And so I started going to this local prison, meeting the Muslims who had converted to Islam while they were inside the prison. And that fascinated me to the core. Why would somebody come to this religion inside the prison? Later on I found out that Islam was the fastest growing religion in the world. And today it is the fastest growing religion in the world. It is the fastest growing religion in Europe, in Asia, in the United States, in Australasia, all parts of the world. Why are people coming to Islam? What attracts them? When you look at what the media portrayal of Islam and the Muslims is like, you would think no one would even want to come close to this religion. Where the media portrays Muslims and Islam as a religion of holy war, of terrorism, of beating up your wife, of oppressing women, of being a barbaric religion who wants to cut people's hands and stone people to death. Why then are so many people coming to Islam? Questions like these bothered me, and my research went on. And as I prepared lessons to be taught at this local prison, I learned more and more and more. I found out scientific verses in the Quran which were impossible for any person to have knowledge of back in the 7th century. I found out the Quran has a literary miracle in it, and the Quran has even challenged humanity, where God says in the Quran, if you think this book is not from God, bring a book like it. Bring a book which is literary as perfect in the Arabic language as the Quran is. The Arabs have been trying for 1400 years and they have failed. Bring a book which is perfect in its grammar like the Quran is. Bring a book which is perfect in its word choice like the Quran is. Bring a book which has scientific miracles like the Quran has. Bring a book which is historically accurate like the Quran is. And you cannot find another book, another religious text which can compare itself to the Quran. The greatest satisfaction which I had with the Quran as compared to the other scriptures I had read was that I was sure that what I was reading was the original text. The Quran and how it was preserved was amazing. This had to be the right way. This had to be the truth. The only way, because this was the only preserved text. No other text comes close to the Quran in any way possible, whether it be its history or preservation, or it be its miracles, or its wording and Arabic. It's truly a wonder, a living wonder, which has come to us over 1400 years and has continued to challenge humanity. In another place, God says, if this book was not from God, you would have found many contradictions in it. Something which I had experienced when I was reading the Old and the New Testament. Lots and lots of contradictions, lots and lots of stories which go against each other, lots of details which don't make sense, lots of inconsistencies from one version to another version. The Quran, on the other hand, is only one book, read across the globe without any differing versions. You do have translations in different languages of the Quran, but the Arabic Quran is the same worldwide. I got a lot of peace by knowing this, and my research went on, and I decided that this was the path for me. And not only for me, but for the rest of humanity, and for all those who are sincerely, truthfully seeking the truth, without having biases, without having prejudices, without having stubbornness in their hearts. People who are willing to change themselves for the truth. I decided this was the way to go forward. Right around this time, 9/11 happened, which was a great tragedy. It not only caused the loss of lives of many, but changed the globe since then. The United States went into 2 wars in which we have lost hundreds of thousands of people. And to this day, the war goes on. The war against terror, the war against Muslims, the war against Islam. I decided I needed to do something. I needed to fight the ignorance. People in America have no idea what Islam is. They think they know. They think they know because of what CNN tells them, or of what Fox News tells them, or of what the major publications and the print media is telling them. But what all of these sources are telling them is not the truth. It's far, far, far away from the truth. And so I thought I need to share my experience, my journey, my intellectual journey and quest to find the truth. This is when I got involved with the Muslim Students Association on campus. And I had been previously involved with them in interfaith dialogues and organizing different events. But now we decided that we need to start teaching. The only way to deal with ignorance is education. That's when I started teaching a course every semester on campus, talking about Islam, Islamic beliefs, practices, talking about misconceptions. And then within a few semesters, we found that there was a growing interest in this course. In one of the semesters, I had this older gentleman who was attending my class, and he would come regularly and he would participate, and he really enjoyed the course. By the end of the course, he came to me one day and he said, "Would you like to teach a course for the West Virginia University?" And I found out that this particular gentleman was the dean of the religious studies department. And I was thrilled. I was over the moon. That's exactly what I wanted to do. I wanted a way to spread the truth about Islam. I wanted a way to bring people together. I wanted a way to unite humanity. And I couldn't have asked for anything better than that. So for the last 2 semesters now, I have been teaching Islam on campus at WVU. And now there are many courses on campus which are talking about Islam, which are talking about Muslims. Arabic as a language is being taught on many campuses around the US, which is a positive step. Yet there is a lot of ignorance. Yet there is a lot of work which needs to be done when it comes to the issue of the real Islam, the truth about Islam. And so I thought, why not use the YouTube as a means of furthering this message, as a means of unplugging Islam. And thus we have Islam Unplugged, which is a small effort on my part to contribute to this great cause of sharing the truth as I came to find out about it, as millions of people around the world are finding about, as many women are finding the truth about Islam. So Islam Unplugged is a small effort on my part to contribute to this. So what we're going to do in Islam Unplugged is I'm going to go over what Islam is, what are some of the articles of faith, what do Muslims really believe in, what is jihad, how does Islam view women's rights. We are going to go over all the misconceptions, or as many as we can, by the will of God, by the grace of God. So starting from the next episode, we're going to get into what is Islam, what is its definition, what are its teachings, because there are so many misconceptions about the word itself. Does it mean terrorism? Does it mean violence? What is Islam? Do Muslims worship a moon god? Why do Muslims bow down and kiss the ground 5 times a day? Do Muslims worship a black stone in the desert? Who are the Muslims? Are the majority of the Muslims Arabs? Did Islam spread by the sword? What are the rights of women in Islam? Why do women have to cover up? What are the gender roles as defined in Islam? Who is God? What does He want from us? All the questions which I once had and I found the answers in Islam, I want you to find the answers too. Islam Unplugged is for everyone. If you're a Muslim or a non-Muslim, if you're a new Muslim or somebody who's searching for the truth, it is worth investigating. Your afterlife is worth the cause. Your afterlife is worth it for you to go out there and search and invest your time and energy in knowing the truth. Because once you know the truth, it's going to change your life. You're going to be a different human being. You're going to taste the sweetness of faith in God. So with that, I stop here. This was just an introduction, and I hope that you will participate and you will be able to benefit from these videos, from my understanding of the truth, from my research for over the years. And I do not claim to be a scholar, so whatever I say, do not quote me on that. Do not think that I have any authority to declare certain things halal or haram, which is permissible or impermissible. I am not a scholar. I am still a student of religion. I am a student of comparative religions. What I am going to do in Islam Unplugged is just share with you what I found out. And that is the only thing I claim to share. So with that, I encourage you to move on and view the videos which will be loaded in the coming future related to Islam and Muslims, ending with the greetings of peace, the greetings of salam to all of you. Till next time, Salaam Alaikum.